Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I'd like to just give you my summation of Decade, an app you can buy on the App Store which is going to help you to get the golf ball around a golf course far easier in 2022. Now, the first thing I want to say is a disclaimer. I am not earning any money for telling you to use the Decade app, but I am telling you it is going to help your game. I have learned a lot by studying Scott Fawcett's method and the Decade app, which is basically a super use of what we've talked before about on the channel, which is basically strokes gained, system developed by Mark Brody based on statistics. So for all you statistic freaks out there, go and buy the book and you'll be able to understand in depth the kind of statistics that Scott's used to develop the Decade system. But today all I want to do is kind of put it in a nutshell for you. What are these people out there like Will Zalatoris, Bryson DeChambeau, and all these guys who have actually worked with Scott doing, which is making them so successful on a golf course? I think the very first thing, which is strange actually, has nothing to do with what they're doing on the golf course, but how they're thinking on the golf course. Decade basically says that this is not a sniper rifle, it's a shotgun. And it means that irrespective of how often you practice and how good your professional is, you are always going to spray the ball. And one of the things you first of all got to understand, that if you stand there and know that you're going to spray the ball, there's no point getting wound up about it if you do. On the contrary, this is freeing your brain. If you think about all of the ridiculous thoughts that you have on around, the majority of them are actually created by your disappointment at the last shot, because you were expecting to hit it straight. So a little bit right, a little bit left, and the brain starts, what in the world did I do wrong there? If you're not expecting to hit it straight, you're not surprised when it doesn't, and you don't have to analyze what went wrong. What they're saying in Decade is that everybody has a certain dispersion from right to left, and it's not a small one. We're talking about 60 yards from right to left sometimes with a driver, and that's even tour professionals. So the very first thing to say is that you've not got to necessarily be hitting fairways, you've just got to be hitting golf courses. You've got to make sure there's enough room to actually hit the golf course, and if there isn't, put the driver away. It's a similar kind of question then when you're hitting a fairway shot. If you're just doing a transfer shot, you've got to know how far you're going to hit it, and you've got to know how much room there is where you hit it. So the second thing is really the same thing as the drive. Is there room enough to hit the second shot? Your approach shot into the green is also a simple equation, and the simple choice there is hit the middle of the green. Forget the hole. A lot of us are aiming at the flagstick when really we haven't got the game to do it. And you shouldn't really be aiming at the flagstick until you chip in the ball, because otherwise you're going to miss more greens than you should do. Aiming at the center of the green, or a more specific point that you can understand if you actually do subscribe to the app, will tell you where you should be aiming on the green, dependent on the hazards around the green. It almost never tells you to aim at the flag, because that is the place where the ball lands the least. I don't know if it's an absolute specific, but you could basically say you're going to hit a straight shot maybe 1 every 10 times. So if you want the ball to be next to the flag, don't aim at it. Aim somewhere else, which is allowing you the most dispersion and still hitting the green. If you don't hit the green and you don't hit the fairway and you find yourself in trouble, there's a 90% rule. The 90% rule says play out sideways. if you're not 90% sure that the shot that you're taking on is going to be a success. Don't measure yourself with the guys who are on the fairway on that hole. Measure yourself with the guys who on the next hole are in the rough or in the trees. What are they doing? That's the guy that you've got to be beating, not the guy who's on the fairway when you've hit a bad shot. And finally, when you get on the green, he's not saying stop trying to make the putts. Obviously, you want to try and make all the putts you can, but don't get too aggressive on it. Try and lag the putt rather than get too aggressive, because you're always going to have dispersion and distance on a green. And if that dispersion is greater than 3 feet and you're aiming a foot after the hole, you're 4 feet away from the hole, and you've got a significantly smaller chance of making the putt and saving the 3-putt, so to speak. Avoiding the 3-putt will often save you far more shots than making aggressive putts at the hole to save par and the like. So the simple guideline there is basically avoid the 3-putt, lag the putts to the hole rather than getting too aggressive. So on one side he's saying get the driver out whenever you can, hit the ball as far as you can, something you can see from Deschambault. Don't think about why you should take the driver, think about why you shouldn't take the driver. But don't worry if the ball isn't on the fairway. As long as you can play it, it's a good drive. Get the ball as close to the green as you can, whether you're in the trees or you're on the fairway, but only if you're sure of doing so. If there's enough room for you to land the ball there and you're not taking on too much risk if you're playing out of a recovery situation. Hitting the green is more important than hitting the hole, because hitting the hole to a certain extent is a chance thing. You're only going to hit a small percentage of the balls exactly where you're aiming, so maybe aiming exactly at the hole isn't the best or the most sensible strategy for your game. And finally, when you get on the green, don't be too aggressive. Try and hole it, but try and get the second putt in whatever's happening, and make that your priority when you're putting. A very simple system, a system that I heartily recommend. Get out on the golf course and try it. If this kind of system helps you, then there's lots more in the app which will help you to create stats and to follow your stats. It will tell you what you should do with your stats, and it will tell you what you should do with your golf professional the next time you go and take a lesson. If you're interested, I'll leave a link below. As ever, thanks very much to the patrons who are supporting me on the website, or rather on YouTube. Thank you also for everybody who's watched this video. If you'd like to hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed, do so. I'll be back very shortly with the next one. Until then, bye-bye.